And you're not going to
And
let me forget that, are you?
here we go. No, I am not. So, welcome everybody. Link's Awakening DX, no Squoob, aka no save and quit, no out of bounds, and no wrong warp.
Do you want to explain what a wrong warp or out of bounds is?
Sure, first let's explain what no save and quit is. You cannot save and quit. Very important. Very tricky, as I've learned my last race. So, go ahead.
Well, we can bring up the save and quit menu and we will skip some text, but we can't actually use the save and quit function. This also includes death warps. Now, if we were to die somewhere, we'd have to go back to where we died before we could continue.
Alright, so back onto the rules. No wrong warp. You cannot, well, wrong warp. Case in point, doghouse glitch. A lot of people have seen that. You know, you enter a doghouse from behind, you're not meant to do that, and it takes you to a weird place. Can't do anything like that. And no out of bounds, which is defined as, and I hope I get this right, being greater than one tile away from a normally accessible tile? That's the best way I can say it.
Out of bounds is the hardest rule to sort of explain.
And you can thank Blano Skip for that one.
Yeah.
So, one tech you're seeing right now, big thing over the course of the run is clipping in the walls. It saves you, little bits here and there, but those add up over the course of a run. You can clip a couple pixels into each wall. Just, you can walk less. Plain and simple.
Now, the big time save from wall clipping comes from the tech that uses wall clipping as part of the setup, such as super jumps.
Whoa, don't be getting ahead of us now.
Well, we'll see some in the future.
First, gotta get through the forest and come up to Moblin Skip. Always a fun time, a very heavy reset point in any run, obviously not in the tournament. And we basically, a couple screens from now, we're going to want a Moblin to face up toward the hole, and we're going to position himself, plus Link, in a way where he shoots an arrow at us and forces us over a pit, skipping along side quest. You'll see that over the course of a run, we're always trying to skip side quest. Spicefather going for it now. Oh, and he falls into the pit. And he gets a second try. Whitewolfos right behind on her first. Let's see if they can out-skip. Oh, Spice not getting it. Whitewolfos got it.
Whitewolfos getting it. So Whitewolfos is actually in the lead at this point.
Indeed. It's things like that that'll add up over the course of a run and could determine the outcome. And we have seen some very close races this tournament. Could we see another one tonight?
So you might actually see some stuff that looks like stuff out of other Nintendo games, like Kirby and Gordas and Goombas. So this game was actually made as a side project by a small team in Nintendo. It was never intended to be a Zelda, and then until Nintendo had sort of found out about it and thought, that could be a new Zelda game. So you're going to see a lot of, casually you'd see a lot of references to other games, like the Yoshi doll we see on screen right now.
Alright, and that is first try trendy game for both of our players. On to the shop where, we're speedrunners. We steal things. I promise not IRL.
Well, to be fair, this isn't actually speedrunner tech. You can do this casually. This is not a glitch. Because if you were to steal in English, and I'm told it's the same in Japanese, if you steal, your name forever is changed to Thief. Your save file is changed to Thief as well.
So both players buying a couple sets of bombs, and then we will also steal a very powerful weapon for early game, the bow and arrow. Definitely would take a long time to grind 180 rupees. We don't want to do that, so we're just going to take it, and it will come very handy starting in Dungeon 1.
You're not meant to have the bow this early. And you'll see that from the first mini-boss in Dungeon 1.
Apparently Nintendo thought we were all good guys we weren't going to steal.
The funny thing is that in 100%, there's actually a picture which requires you to steal from the shop, which I think is quite funny.
I like that. So one thing you noticed on the way here, first of all, shout-outs to keyholes, totally working as intended. Both players killed a bunch of enemies on the way here. Those were not random kills. Those will actually add up over the course of the run to acquire items known as Pieces of Power. Also known as Pizza Power for all y'all in chat. I know you want it. And you will see that more in Dungeon 2? Yes, in Dungeon 2.
So, entering this dungeon, you've seen a clip into the keyhole, and we do the same for Dungeon 3. And that's one of those tricks that utilizes wall clipping. If you're not wall clipped, it won't work. Because when you're wall clipped, the game thinks you're in that tile, so it activates things.
So one thing that's going to become very important from this point onwards, and will be very huge over the course of a run, you just saw there, is menuing. Learning your menu can save you minutes over the course of this run. You spend a lot of time in there, and every time you're in there, it's at least, a couple seconds. So you want to make as much use of that, or as quick use of that as possible, and not spend much time in it.
Usually runners will have a set menu route that they use, and it'll be completely muscle memory to them. Which means that if there's something that goes wrong with their menu, like they make a misinput, it can really cause them trouble later on.
Hey, wow, what was that jump over a block? That was neat. Care to explain that?
So that's what we call a super jump. You basically clip into a wall, and you slash your sword. Slash your sword, but in this case, use your bow. You can also use fire rod. Do that at the top of your jump, and the game, for some reason, thinks that you're on the edge of a ledge, and this is to do with wall clipping, and it causes you to sort of fall off that ledge, thus super jumping. You can also do it without any of the items that I mentioned. You can do a naked super jump. That's a bit hard, and we'll see that a bit later on.
Both players struggling a bit with Moldorm, but they make it through without any falling and any deaths. Shout out to Moldorm, we'll be seeing him again later. Maybe. And that is Dungeon 1. Both players very close to this one. One minor mistake, and this could go the complete opposite direction.
This is something you sort of get used to with this game and like races, is that the time people have on the board means nothing in a race.
So true.
The PBs of the runners. So the PB for Spicefather is a 57.18, and the PB for whitewolfos is a 109.07.
As we mentioned before, she's a very new runner, but that is a pretty good time for a new runner.
And she's getting better every run she does.
Right, so again, both players making their way towards Dungeon 2, and you're going to see a lot of kills. They are not random kills, these are all adding up to that piece of power, which ideally for both players will drop the third room of Dungeon 2. Don't grab that acorn, Spicefather. We don't want that. Those acorns will drop for every 12 kills you do without taking damage. And they increase your defense, they might do something else. It sounds good, however, Piece of Power is much more important, and while you're under the effects of that Guardian Acorn, Pieces of Power will not drop. So do you want to explain what Piece of Power does?
So Piece of Power increases your movement speed mostly. That's the reason why we want it. It also provides a second effect, which is knocks enemies back and gives them immunity frames once it does that. Now that's a bit of a negative effect, which we'll see particularly in Dungeon 5. They'll actually want to get rid of Piece of Power before the end of the dungeon, just to stop that being an issue. You will lose Piece of Power if you enter a dungeon, exit a dungeon, enter a cave, exit a cave, or if you take 3 hits of damage from enemies.
More on that in a moment. First off, you're going to be seeing Spice do a flock clip here. which is doing exactly what he's doing. And if you hold left while that text box appears, you will actually get pushed over 1 pixel. It doesn't always happen right away. It can sometimes take 2 tries, thanks subpixels. But just walk through a wall, pretty much. Shoutouts to a decent Bow Wow as well. Hope y'all like Bow Wow. Get used to him. He's gonna become our best friend and our worst enemy.
Yeah, so Piece of Power will drop every 30 kills. And Piece of Power routes are very finely balanced in terms of how it's routed. Bow Wow throws a wrench into this.
Speaking of Bow Wow, a very good, quick entrance to D2 from whitewolfos. Bow Wow cooperating for a change.
Yeah, Bow Wow can take anywhere up to a minute, possibly even longer on that one. If you have bad enough RNG.
Spicefather taking a hit. May have taken 2. I see is down a full heart, but I didn't see when the first half heart occurred.
So whitewolfos getting Piece of Power about 2 rooms late, although ultimately maybe 1 enemy late, so... The thing with Piece of Power routing is that if it's late for 1 dungeon, it's late for the rest of the dungeons as well, so you have to compensate for the future dungeons. And particularly Dungeon 5, because Dungeon 5 is the most important one, and we'll get on to why a bit later. Oh, and Piece of Power also allows you to pick up things quicker.
This fun room, so coming in here casually, you might not know at first, you have to kill these enemies in a particular order. If you mess it up, you have to leave the room and come back in, or else that chest will not spawn, and you need that boss key to continue. And the order is the same every time. Shoutouts to Ghosts working as intended on whitewolfos screen. And Spice about to enter the boss room. I call it a bottle genie. I think the game calls it a gin. And we are going to break this boss. Very, very much. You're intended to pick up this pot, throw it, I believe 3 times to break it, and then kill the gin. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to pick it up, clip ourselves into that top left wall, throw it so it breaks instantly, and then use a combination of bomb and bomb arrows to defeat him in 1 cycle. And Spice gets a first try. whitewolfos entering now, still not too far behind Spicefather, and that can change on the way to Dungeon 3 very easily when we get the Villa skip. whitewolfos struggling a bit, but she gets it broken. That's the important part.
Thing is, it's better to take time to set that up than to not get it right.
Yeah, if you're going to mess anything up, you're better off messing up the bomb arrow at the end, because the gin is still out of his bottle, and you can recover as she did. Whereas if you mess up breaking the bottle, you have to go through another cycle, and that is very slow. Meanwhile, on Spicefather's screen, seeing Bow Wow doing a lot of enemy eating, we'll see if that hurts or helps him later on.
So Spice is coming up to one of the biggest sequence breaks in the game, which allows us to skip about 7 minutes of gameplay. So normally you have to get all 5 of the feathers, and return Bow Wow, and do some of the trade sequence. However, we don't have to do that because we can do what's called a Villa skip. And this allows us to get from those. So, the way a Villa skip works is that you, on the frame after you fall into a pit, i.e. when you hear the chime, you can actually move for that 1 frame. So what they're doing is they buffer until they get that frame, and then they're able to move down a screen. and the position at which you land on the hole makes a difference. So does subpixel, so does frame rule.
Nice keyhole, by the way. whitewolfos getting a pretty quick vanilla skip as well. So that's very good.
This skip can eat up so much time.
It can, and you're in almost no control.
A lot of people will call it the most RNG, non-RNG trick in the game.
Alright, and this next room for Spicefather, if everything's gone well, should drop his piece of power. There it is. And now coming up to the Dongo skip. Pretty simple to do, however, if you mess that up, you'll actually get stuck in those rocks, and that is a soft lock, which for the tournament you can save him quick, however under normal rules you cannot, and that would be the end of your run. And now he's got the speed boosts, which are one of the most used items in this run. Why? You get to go fast. And in case you didn't get a catch of the Dongo skip, we're about to do it again.
Apparently there has actually been someone that soft-locked in the Dongo skip during this tournament. I can't remember who.
I'm amazed I haven't. But with all the bad luck I've had, that's something I've done alright on.
Well, hint it's me that soft-locked there.
Nice.
I've soft-locked in both of my races.
Pro. Alright, we'll see if whitewolfos gets her piece of power in this next room. Meanwhile, Spicefather fighting the boss. There's a piece of power, right where she wanted it.
whitewolfos being a little bit risky there with the slashing the acorn before going in the room. Because if you have acorn, the piece of power will not drop. So you'd have to take 3 hits of damage from enemies before you can lose the acorn. I almost said 3 hits of damage in the lava. Shouts to disclude. That's an in-joke. So in this community we have this community is awesome. Everyone's so friendly. We've got a lot of in-jokes. There's a lot of banter, and if you're interested,
getting a bomb trigger. We'll explain that in just a moment.
If anyone's interested in learning this game and picking it up, feel free to ask any of the runners, any of the commentators. We'll throw you an invite to Discord and just ask there, and we'll get you started up. So,
whitewolfos getting her second Dongo skip.
Bomb triggers.
You're gonna see them a lot, and they severely break the game, albeit the one you just saw was a very minor one. But you know what? I think we might explain that in a moment, because first, we are up to Walrus skip already. And again, you'll see bomb triggers, but...
You're about to see... Well, you've just seen one of the smallest ones, you're about to see one of the biggest ones.
Yes. So, if you play this casually, you know at this point you're supposed to have the ocarina. We don't have it. And we're never going to have it. So you might wonder, okay, how are you playing this song? We're using bombs. That's the short answer.
Mayonnaise isn't an instrument, but bombs are.
Oh no, whitewolfos
dying on Victorious.
So back to Walrus skip. You can see Spicefather, he cannot use any of his controls. He can't, other than the D-pad, he can't open his menu. He's locked. Going in this cave will reset that. And then, I guess we'll get back to Walrus skip in a moment. First off, shout out to the boss you'll never see. We've heard the name is Landmola. We cannot confirm or deny because we never actually see it. Supposedly.
Wait, there's a boss there?
Supposedly. So, for the bomb triggers, there's a couple different ways of doing it. What Spice just did was doing it on a transition, which you have to for that one. It's you're putting a bomb down and then immediately transitioning. And oh no, whitewolfos Is that the soft lock? That is the soft lock for whitewolfos.
She can save and quit to get out.
Yes, tournament rules, save and quit is allowed there. Again, back to bomb triggers, because I cannot talk fast enough. So if you put down the second bomb as soon as you transition, the game does not handle it well. It cannot process 2 bombs at once. And it plays the cutscene that's available for that tile. In that case, it was the song Waking Up the Walrus. Now, there's 2 ways of soft locking on that. Either you have to leave that screen at a very specific point. If you leave too soon, before the text box, the walrus will reappear, and you're soft locked, because you can't use your controls, you can't enter any caves at that point, because there's none open. Or, you leave too late and a rabbit appears on screen. If that rabbit appears on screen, you can't do anything, including save and quit. Can't even move at that point.
We all know about that.
Yeah, it totally hasn't happened to anyone during the tournament, right, Cravone?
Especially not someone who's currently commentating.
So the good news is, while we're trying to fit all this commentary in, it does take a while to get to the D4 keyhole, as spicefather just got, and then go around to the entrance of D4. I wonder if anyone's forgotten to open up D4 in this tournament yet.
So far, no one's forgotten it, but I mean, you know someone will. There will be someone that... It's so easy to do, even for like the most experienced runners. They just blank, and it happens.
whitewolfos getting through the boss. So a bit behind, but again, anything can happen. Not down and out yet. Spicefather coming up to probably the most useless trick, but we love it. Obstacle skip! First try. 1 of 2.
Useless trick?
So, with that skip, you save about a half second if you get it. If you fail it, you waste 2 seconds. It's not worth it, but we all do it.
Put it this way, we do it twice during the run. And if you get it both times, it's actually less of a time save than the time lost if you fail it once.
Yes.
It's that insignificant, but it's one of those things that is completely swag.
D4, this part is so annoying. You can easily take a lot of damage in here if you're inexperienced and not careful.
We've even given one of these rooms the name Dumb Jump Number 1.
And here it is.
So this is Dumb Jump Number 1. Spice getting its second try.
I don't even go for it. I don't even know how at this point.
The tactile was quite kind to him, and then the room after, it sort of fell apart there.
Alright, hope y'all love this boss. That's right, it's our favorite cue ball.
So we're gonna see him twice during this run. It's a joke both times.
whitewolfos going for a different method of the walrus skip. We'll see if it works out. And spicefather getting the flippers. Now, at this point, you would think we're just going to finish this dungeon. However, that is not true. We're actually going to leave and head to Dungeon 5. We'll explain why in just a moment. Let's keep an eye on whitewolfos. Hope she doesn't soft lock. And she did it. She's good. Awesome. So, if we completed Dungeon 4 right now, we'd be stuck in a very long side quest involving a ghost. Something I honestly haven't seen in a while. But it's going to take us well out of our way. However, if we actually go into Dungeon 6 and collect the power bracelet, that sets the trigger for that side quest to we don't have to do it. So we're actually going to complete Dungeon 5, complete Dungeon 6, and then head back to Dungeon 4 to finish it off.
So for the ghost side quest, we used to actually think it was a point on the map, where if you went below a point on the map, it would spawn. It wasn't until like a few months ago we actually figured out there was the level 2 bracelet that made the difference.
Spicefather here entering Dungeon 5. Now we'll see how his piece of power routing has been in about a room or 2. This will be ideally where he wants piece of power to drop.
So this is the most important piece of power in the run, because this dungeon is long. It is very long. And there's a lot of walking around. The speed boost is so important. But also another thing with this dungeon makes it
There it
difficult
is.
even if you do have piece of power. He got it a bit late, but honestly he'll take that. If he now takes 3 hits of damage, he'll lose piece of power. He does want to lose it before the final boss, but he wants it as long as possible. So
Well,
he's gonna try and avoid taking damage.
One thing we had mentioned about Piece of Power is while it does drop every 30 enemy kills, it will not drop on bosses or mini-bosses. If it's scheduled to drop on those, your counter resets to 0 and you will not receive it. So if your routing is off by a lot, you know, it could drop on this Master Stalfos here and you would never get your Piece of Power, and never know. Alternatively, it could drop early on Q-Ball.
Actually, I'm gonna correct something there. It can't actually drop on that Master Stalfos unless you kill him.
Well then I guess my luck's unlucky.
Because
Didn't know that.
it will like, it's meant to drop on every enemy except for bosses, well, generally speaking. Well, that's meant to increment the counter. But enemies which drop a specific item, like a predetermined item, will not drop piece of power. So mini bosses are programmed to always drop a fairy. This mini boss is programmed to always drop either small keys or the hook shot. But that's only if you outright kill him. So for
Oh no, whitewolfos getting a very early Piece of Power.
that's because she died in Dungeon 3.
That is true,
Yeah.
dying does reset your Piece of Power count.
So does save and quitting.
So yeah, Spicefather killing the Master Stalfos 3 times, we'll have to visit him a 4th to get his actual item, the hook shot. You're supposed to have the hook shot here coming up to get the boss key, however, we don't want to do that because that involves more backtrack. So we're actually going to use the feather and the boots and just jump over the pit. First try. Now Spice will be heading to kill the Master Stalfos the 4th time. The 1st and 4th time you fight him, he takes 3 hits to kill. The 2nd and 3rd, it's only 2 hits.
So, spicefather on the final Stalfos fight. And this way he's going to get the hook shot, which is required to defeat the Dungeon 5 boss. It's used in a few other places in the run, but I believe the only place it's absolutely required in the entire run is the Dungeon 5 boss.
whitewolfos getting the flippers. Now she will begin to head to Dungeon 5 as well. Now at this point, Spicefather is going to be looking to lose his Piece of Power, either in the room where he comes out of this, or the room after. And that'll actually help him out on the boss. I'll let Cravone explain that.
So you want to get rid of piece of power before the boss because the knockback, it gives the boss immunity frames, and it makes cycling the boss much more difficult. Because you need to slash the boss as quick as possible once he's out the wall.
We'll see if he can get the 2 cycle here. Four hits the first time, so he needs to get 4 right here. And he gets it. Good boss fight for Spicefather. So at this point, he's pulling away from whitewolfos. He's a full dungeon ahead. However, anything can happen.
I mean, it is LAGX.
I mean, one ill-timed soft lock, it could be game over.
At this point, if Spice were to get a record number of blue balls on Aghanim, it will catch whitewolfos back up.
Indeed. So Spice, we have to make a detour on our way to Dungeon 6 to get the key, and we'll be going through the Armos Maze, which is a great source of arrow drops if Bow Wow cooperates. There's going to be a lot of enemies in the way. There's going to be a lot of Armos, a lot of Zols, and we'll see what Bow Wow decides he's hungry for.
So one thing with the Armos Maze is that Bow Wow, when he eats an Armos, will actually drop an arrow, and our bomb and arrow counts, well, our bomb and arrow routes are very, very strict in this run, so having the spare bombs and having the spare arrows from Armos Maze is very, very useful. It's also why at the start of the run you saw both runners pick up 2 sets of bombs.
Of course, Bow Wow's eating everything behind Spicefather. That little clippy clip. And on to the next fight, the Armos Knight. A couple different ways of doing this. I believe Spicefather is going to use bootstraps. Indeed he is. You can also use a strat with a shovel, which I tried in my races and apparently couldn't remember how to do. Or use a feather. You just don't want to be on the ground when that happens. Nice surviving. Dude, Bow Wow, give the guy an arrow. There we go. I believe you want at least 4 arrows going into this dungeon. Spicefather at a half heart. Wonder if he'll take an intentional death coming up. So,
yeah.
Fun bomb trigger to do here. Oh, and he doesn't go for it. We might see whitewolfos do it.
The section after the Armos Knight is one of the most risky in the game in terms of damage. There are some damage boosts, but each Armos, if it hits you, does 2.5 hearts of damage. And then you've got the bomb berries, which can really, really cause you trouble.
whitewolfos getting that boss key first try. Much better than a lot of people have seen in this tournament.
To be honest, getting it first try without piece of power is pretty insane. Especially for a new runner.
So I think Spice may actually survive to get to the fairy right here. Nice. He gets the fairy in the right side pot. Good for an emergency health refill. And there is the level 2 bracelet, meaning at this point, we can go back to Dungeon 4 and complete it and not worry about the side quest. Now, whitewolfos screen, you just saw a piece of power drop. At this point, it's not going to be useful enough to worry about picking up, as this is late in the dungeon. And in a couple of rooms, we're going to want to lose it anyway. Wow, looks like some shenanigans in Spice's screen? Pravone, what did he just do?
So he did a glitch which basically gives him immunity to all forms of damage, except for, like, pits. So what he did is that he went close to an object and hookshotted it. Now, usually the setup for this is to just hookshot to something and then hookshot a second time. This basically gives you immunity on that screen until you use the hookshot again. Or until you screen transition. God, I can't talk tonight.
Series of super jumps to get up to that ledge. We're gonna throw this pot with the chest to open it. You have to throw a pot into it. One more flop clip coming up, and then a super jump that you can soft lock yourself if you're not careful. However, we do have a very good visual cue, so that shouldn't happen. Nice getting it first try. More difficult than it looked. whitewolfos heading to the D5 boss. 2 more screens to go. And now a fun RNG portion of this run, the horses. So we need to throw these and have them both land. Oh my gosh, he did it again.
First try.
First
That's
try.
disgusting.
He did it in his last race, did he not?
Shouldn't be allowed.
That can take as many number of tries as the game wants you to do to throw them and get them both landing face up. If they don't, you have to throw them both again.
Fun fact, it's only a 1 in 4 chance of getting them both face up.
I agree, that deserves a PogChamp. And coming up to an easy fight, but it can still wreck you, Facade. I'll get 3 bombs in on him before he's even spoken, before you're supposed to be able to hit him. Which leaves us needing 2 hits while dodging these flying tiles, which seem to get me every time. Meanwhile, whitewolfos killing the D5 boss.
Who was it that died on Facade the other day?
I've died, but not in my tournament race.
There was someone that died on there. Went in with half a heart, and... well, it's incredibly hard to actually avoid some of those tiles, but...
yes.
Most people enter with enough hearts to just tank the damage.
Like, if you're ever in that fight casually, the best advice I can give you is don't panic. Make that mistake so many times, and that's when you get hit and die. If you stay calm, cool, and collected, you can dodge them easily.
Fun fact, the room before gives you 2 fairies if you powder the torches.
Son of a gun, I knew it. I never did it. Spicefather doing a bomb trigger, again so the owl doesn't show up. It's a minor time save, but it's still a time save as long as you get it. And now he's going to head back to Dungeon 4 to clear that and knock it out.
So, now that Spice has the level 2 brace, he's going to be doing the second half of Dungeon 4. And he's going to be doing one of the more unique super jumps in the run. And this is going to be a bonk off a P-hat. So he'll super jump, use his sword and bonk off the P-hat. Now, there's a specific timing to this, because you don't want to do it too early, because if you do it too early, you won't actually get across the gap. So there we are.
Hey, cool boss key placement versus a boss door. Hey look, we could jump to the boss door. And now, coming up on Cravone's favorite boss, the anglerfish.
Could I leave for this boss?
So, a spin slash 2 bomb arrows, he's dead, or 3 bomb arrows, he's dead, as long as you hit the boss. And don't try and hookshot the heart.
I wish I was good at this boss.
Meanwhile, whitewolfos doing bootstraps against the Armos Knight and getting it first try. Very well done. And that is Dungeon 4 complete for Spicefather. Yeah, so my first race, at this point, it became a meme run. I did a nice little Cravone shout-out. I hope you saw it, Cravone. I did it just for you.
I'll have to check out.
So now, Spice is going to head to D7. But first, You know what it is. Our favorite trick. Obstacle skip.
I thought you were going to talk about Rooster Skip.
I know, I purposely led you on.
I was about to say, like, it's...
That one is not our favorite trick.
In the game, and then there's... Oh, obstacle skip. I guess that's iconic. In a way.
Yeah, so after obstacle skip comes the real challenge. Rooster skip. Now, it's not like, you know... You're trying to make your way across another large pit using the hook shot. There's a weird power drop. You're supposed to have a rooster at that point, but because we don't get the ocarina, we don't get the rooster, we don't get any of that fun stuff. However, with this pit, if you fall in, you don't just respawn on the screen at the entrance. You actually fall down a waterfall, and you lose about 30 seconds to get back up to the room you were in. So that is a huge time loss, that is a huge run killer, and can greatly turn the tides of a race. Spicefather, second obstacle skip.
I want to say, I think I prefer Rooster Skip being that risky. Because it adds more to it as tech. It's the hardest trick in the run. I don't think anyone would really disagree with that.
Correct.
So it's 2 frame perfect jumps, but you can buffer it, and I think I'll be surprised if Spice doesn't buffer it.
Oh, and he did not, and as a result,
Ooh.
he fell. So that is about 30-second time loss. whitewolfos, 2 more screens to survive before she gets to that ferry.
Fun
Playing
fact,
safe and getting the Goomba heart.
that Goomba is free if you instantly fall off the ladder.
Oh no. whitewolfos got blocked. She not bombed the,
Maybe she left the
the
screen a bit
switch.
too early.
Yeah. So Spicefather buffering this. Oh no! And the global frame will just completely destroyed him. Instantly falling.
So, I tend to have that happen quite a lot. What I like to do is, in the middle of the second jump, I like to face the other way, so that I sort of land on the border of a pit. Now, what I was saying about like Rooster Skip being iconic is if you've ever seen a speedrun of this game, Rooster Skip will be the thing that you remember.
Spicefather getting a 3rd try. whitewolfos getting a fairy heart refill, so she's back into it. So shouldn't have to worry about death. So now, on our way to D7. Now, if you ever played Dungeon 7 casual, you might remember it's a very long dungeon, having to collect that big ball and throw it around at all these pillars. Yeah, we completely broke it. I think it becomes probably one of the quickest dungeons in the run now. Courtesy of the bomb.
It becomes one of the quickest dungeons, but also one of the more difficult dungeons due to the sheer amount of tech. Like, Dungeon 7 is basically a glitch showcase, let's be honest.
Indeed. Another thing we didn't talk about with Rooster Skip, we actually just saw it there with the hook shot. Bow Wow can get in the way, and the hook shot will hit him and completely throw everything off. Fortunately, I don't think Spicefather ran into that issue during Rooster Skip. And he got the cutscene eat right there. Pretty easy to get that one. But RNG is not always in your favor.
Fun fact, that cutscene neat counts for piece of power. And can drop piece of power as well.
I'd love to see that at some point.
So that super jump Spice just did. That's also quite a unique super jump. You have to do it. You have to swing the sword and jump quite late in your jump, because otherwise you'll go a bit too far. Also, killing that Zol is necessary to do these bomb triggers. So yeah, this dungeon is just crazy. Whitewolfos not getting the best of RNG on horse heads.
10 horse heads. So again, those horse heads, that was about 10 seconds lost to just RNG. Not even anything the players control.
So, Spice has already beaten the main gimmick in this dungeon. He's now going to be trying to skip getting the boss key as well. So what he's trying to do here, so what he just did is called Goomba Surf, and we used a naked super jump to super jump onto the Goomba, which will then bump us up onto the ledge.
Now there is an alternative to doing that, is Goomba Surf is very much RNG dependent. You need the Goomba to go to the top right as quickly as possible. So there is a backup strat to it.
Yeah, Goomba Surf is sort of like mob and skip. You're relying on an enemy's position.
And by the way, Evil Eagle's dead. Doesn't take long with bombs.
We might see the backup strat on whitewolfos side. So I don't think she likes Goomba Surf. So she might try the backup, which is to use a P-Hat Bonk super jump.
Alright, so Spicefather has one more dungeon left, Dungeon 8, before moving on to the Windfish. Now, there will be more RNG in Dungeon 8, but I don't know if there's any soft lock potential. Just a lot of fun rooms.
There's... Dungeon 8 is maybe my least favourite dungeon to commentate. Because there's really not much to say that's not already been said in Dungeon 8.
Now we will get to talk about the finding out of bound about halfway through, and we can actually show you why there's a definition.
Oh yeah, so, okay. So the mini-boss in this next dungeon, fun fact,
Hey, look, it's Princess Peach.
Oh yeah, maybe we should explain that first.
So, that is Marin. We met her earlier in the game. Don't ask why she's stuck up there. I don't know. However, the game wants you to complete a side quest. You go to her, you do stuff. I couldn't even tell you. I haven't done this game casually in years. However, using the feather and speed shoes, we could just jump right on by and keep going. If you do talk to her, I believe you're stuck doing that side quest.
Well, it's not a side quest, it's just a really long cutscene. It's about
It may
50
as well be.
seconds.
It may as well be a side quest.
And Tarin comes as well, aka Mario.
Another skip coming up right here. You're meant to have the mirror shield from Dungeon 7. However, with the speed boots and a bit of clipping, you can just run right on by the flame, taking only one hit.
Now, fun fact, that works because you're wall clipped into the side, so the game thinks you're in that tile, so it won't knock you back. If you try and do that casually, you'll get knocked back, and it won't work.
So Spicefather trying to do another bomb trigger here to open up Dungeon 8. This is required in RL. Do the bomb trigger. And over on whitewolfos screen, completing Dungeon 4, so she'll be heading to Rooster Pit. And yeah, with her hitboxes, you can just walk right on through.
Yeah, that turtle is a meme, basically.
Everyone's favorite block. We'll be seeing more of that later. So take notes if you want to play this game casually or speedrun. There's a lot of shortcuts here. There's one. There's two. There'll be another one in the next room. That saves us a lot of time.
You see, casually I never knew those were bombable walls.
Oh, me neither.
It's like,
And if you clip into that block right there, you can just push it from the side.
so, fun fact about Blainer Skip. So, there was about 6 months after we had redefined the out of bounds rule set, and there was this super jump which allowed us to skip Lano. This was back when we had Mamba, so it would have actually saved time. 6 months later, we then realised that by our own rule set, it was actually out of bounds, and it took us that long to realise.
Nice. And you'll see why in the next room up. So the tiles in the middle right there, it looks like, hey, you can walk on those. However, while you can walk on them, you cannot normally access them. And they are greater than 1 tile away from a normally accessible tile, therefore out of bounds. I had to speak that as quickly as I could.
Yeah. So whitewolfos going up to Rooster Skip. Spice going up to arguably a room that's harder than Rooster Skip for some.
But
the
first,
room.
It's everyone's favorite mini-boss, the return of Cue Ball.
And he's just crap as always. He's as bad as always. Pardon.
Alright. Over on whitewolfos screen, choosing to do buffered Rooster Skip. Probably a smart move. I do that myself. Oh no, and...
That's a safe strategy.
So yeah, this room Spice is on. Your goal is to control that thing with the D-pad, cover all the black tiles, and get yourself as close to that chest as possible. It's really easy to screw up. We all hate it.
So many people have bad memories of... Everyone remembers some form of them screwing that room up, whether it's a save and quit, whether you just mess up the movements, whether you fall in a pit whilst jumping.
Hey, what's Spicefather doing?
Okay, so he's doing Jesus jumping. Now this works on the same principle as Villa skipping, where the frame before you fall into water, where you actually see the water around Link's feet, you can actually
get second try.
You can actually use the feather to jump out of it. Now the reason why we do that is because when you do this feather jump, you actually get clipped into the wall, which enables us to do the super jump.
Will we see? Will we see it? No!
Oh,
for shame.
No Wang. So there's an interesting graphical glitch. I'm sort of hoping whitewolfos will get it, because I have to say Group E has really, really let me down with Wangs in this tournament.
So many people aren't even going for it. At least he went for it, but come on. At least get the side win.
The way you make sure you get it is you jump and then you fire rod down. That's how you get it.
The Spicefather on his way to the Windfish. We have one more, well, not one more actually, a couple more, but a very important bomb trigger coming up. Because again, we don't have the Ocarina. So we're going to use bombs to open up the Windfish egg. whitewolfos not in position for the cutscene.
Spice apologizing for the Wang. He says he'll practice.
Alright, good. I had proposed a 1 minute penalty for every missed... Not 1 minute, 1 hour penalty for every missed Wang.
1 hour.
Unfortunately, I don't think it was agreed upon. That would have turned the tides. That could have given whitewolfos a win.
I think 20-minute penalty for every obstacle skip missed and every Wang skipped.
And you should always go for the triple Wang, right?
Oh yeah, it's like, if you go for the triple Wang, you get 40 seconds taken off your time.
whitewolfos doing buffered bomb triggers. They work, it might take a bit longer.
So do you want to explain the entire final boss gauntlet of RMG?
Alright. First off, gotta get through this maze. It's a set path because we never read a book in the library. Left, up, right, up, left, up. You never read the book, it's the same path every time. 6 phases to the boss. The first is the Blob. We will hopefully see a quick kill from Spicefather and whitewolfos by positioning our sword in the right place at the right time. If not, we gotta kill it with the power. Oh, and Spice not getting the bomb trigger here to skip all this text and cut out the music.
Does he know the pixel?
We'll see.
A lot of people don't know the pixel if they don't get that right.
I have no idea personally.
Okay, he knows it. He's on it. So, how can him go?
Alright. 2 options here. Yellow balls or blue balls. Oh, not hacking him yet. You didn't get it. That is still RNG dependent, even if you do everything right. With Aghanim, the first 2 shots he throws at you will be yellow balls. That's good. That's what we want. After that, it is 50-50, yellow or blue. If you get blue balls, you gotta wait till you get more yellow balls. You need to hit them 4 times with yellow balls. I think that's about as quick as I can go. After that, it's on to Moldorm once more. However, there is a quick kill if you stand in the right place, spin your sword at the right time and spam it. You can kill Moldorm without him ever moving. whitewolfos screen, going for the P-hat jump, by the way. This is the backup to Goomba Serve. Oh no! Does she know how to get out?
I believe she does. So what she's going to do, she's going to hook shot into the parts that she's clipped into the wall.
Alright, coming up, back on Spicefather's screen. The Nightmare of Ganon, speed into him 12 times, get the hits. After that, you will see that boss that we never saw earlier, Landmala. And you won't actually see him here either, because there's a quick kill, spin your sword, goodbye Landmala. Now on to the final phase, Nightmare of Deathel. Gotta shoot him with the eye open 16 times with arrows while avoiding these arms, which about halfway through the boss fight, the arms get out of sync and it becomes harder and harder to avoid them.
Spice is going to be very close to PB here, but unfortunately it doesn't look like he's going to manage it.
No. I feel like he might have beat that PB the other night as well. Now you
yeah,
can
by
get
a few seconds.
You can get 4 arrow hits on each eye opening if you're quick enough and time them perfectly. So he did not that time, it was only 3. 3 again, so he needs 2 more. And there it is. whitewolfos completing D7 at this point. So all the Spicefather's got to do is walk up the stairs, and that will be time.
So Spicefather finishing with an SRL time of 57:49.
GG, congrats. I hope y'all understood that boss fight explanation. We will be quizzing you at the end.
It's a long boss fight to explain.
With
In a
those
short
times to do it in a
period
speed
of
run.
time. I mean, there's a lot of periods in this game which there's a lot to explain over a short period of time, and then there's Dungeon 8, where there's nothing to explain.
Indeed. Alright, should we see if we can get Spicefather in here?
Current world record is a 52:44 by TGH Plays.
whitewolfos getting the Marin skip first try.
First try? Can you even second try that?
I fail at it so many times, so yes.
How do you second try that? Oh, you mean
You fall.
you fall? I was
Yeah.
gonna say if you speak to Marin, that's
So, hello Spicefather, and congrats on your win.
Hey guys, thanks very much.
So how'd you feel about that run?
Kind of upset with myself a little bit for Rooster Skip, because it ruined a perfectly good PB.
That
But-
is unfortunate.
yeah.
But apart from that, I think the run went really well. I really practiced Dumb Jump 2 after failing it the other night, so I thought that went really well today. And otherwise, I don't know, it's just...
I don't think
Standard
we
good
mentioned the name, but Dumb Jump 2 is that room where you get the hook, or not the hook shot, the dungeon key in Dungeon 5.
Yeah,
Or the boss key in Dungeon 5, jeez.
yeah, I fell in the pit like 6 times the other night, racing against GT, so I didn't want to embarrass myself again.
my biggest question at this point, do you feel like you should be playing the lottery after, once again, first try Horseheads?
I don't know what to say. Like, the game just loves giving me good RNG, and I keep letting it down. I made the joke a lot when I was starting out, like, I got such good RNG, but I was complete trash at the game. And I'd get, like, hour 25 PBs. And I joked, like, why can't TGH get this RNG so you can get a really good world record? But, yeah. I'm improving a lot now, though.
The thing is, he eventually got good RNG, but after about 500 runs. So, I didn't actually see anything like glaringly, like any glaring issues aside from rooster skip in your run. So
And
there's
the
a-
Wang.
Yeah,
Oh
there's
yeah,
that.
you went for it, but you didn't get it.
At least you went for it. I believe you didn't the last time.
I always go for Wang, I just usually fail it. I'd never let the community down that much.
Now, this puts you at 2-1 for your record, so you're in a decent position to advance, although it's not guaranteed. We still have one more match to go between Mighty Math and Green Tunic.
So you going through is reliant on the next match. If Mighty wins and gets a time that's quicker than yours, you're 57. What did you get in your previous race?
57-9, I think.
Yeah. So if Mighty beats Green Tunic and gets better than 57-9, then I believe he'll advance. But I don't really see that happening. I don't see him being able to beat Green Tunic, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought it was.
But anything's possible.
I thought it was based on averages, so he'd have to get like a
Oh yeah,
40, a
it is.
42.
I mean, anything's possible,
Yes,
Yeah,
we have
if-
learned that.
but maybe not a 42 though.
Hey, this game could be completely broken in the next few days. We don't know.
Yeah, if someone tries something stupid and somehow like opens the egg without any instruments, then 20
I
is
really
possible.
want to work on trying to do that at this point. I
I
know
think
I'll
at
never
that
get
point
it.
we'll be having some rule set discussions.
Yeah, we'll decide that bomb trigger is not allowed somehow.
whitewolfos taking care of cue ball and then to everybody's favorite room. You know, Spice, you should advance the text and actually get to the credits. Show people the wonderful end.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah.
show everyone the quote-unquote fish.
Yes, Spice, you managed to do quite well in that room in Dungeon 8 that everyone hates as well.
whitewolfos first try as well.
So did Wolfos softlock on Walrus or something?
No, whitewolfos actually soft locked on the Dongo skip.
And
Oh,
died
that's
to
rough.
Victorious beforehand.
Yeah, because I saw in chat that someone was saying, like, mentioning about Salem quitting being valid, and I was like, why would they mention that? So that sucks to hear.
Yeah, Whitewolfos, so she died on Victorious, rather unfortunately. And then, trying to get back again, she soft-locked on Dodongo Skip. So, she saved and quit, as per tournament rules.
Real quick, did we ever actually discuss Hothead?
No, because most people don't even know how it works.
Yeah. We don't know how many hits it takes. It seems like it's different every time.
It's HP as RNG, put it that way.
Yeah, that's the one part of my task that, like, when I got to it, I spent a couple days
Wang
working on it.
boys!
There we are, we've got
Nice.
one.
Okay, she can
I
have the
think
win.
whitewolfos should win just because of that.
Yeah, like, working on my tasks, that's the one part that, like, after a couple of days, I just decided, like, screw it, I'll, like, do my own inputs on it and then just, like, clean them up a bit, because I still couldn't figure out what makes it die quickly. It's just such a
So-
weird fight.
Apparently you can one-cycle it if you wait until it starts falling on the second phase before firing again. that's the method a lot of people are using now, and they are managing to get 1 cycles.
Yeah, but that only helps for the after you've done the first phase. First phase is the part that I think we're still really confused on. At least I am.
I think Discord. I think Disclude probably would know more about that boss than anyone else.
I know he sucks. That's about all I know.
So there's quite a rare thing on Hothead which can happen, which is like pixel perfect, where you can actually freeze him on the lava, and at that point, the only way to beat him is hit him something like I think it's 64 times you have to hit him with the fire rod.
So, quiz time. Does everyone remember how these bosses work? Remember, I told you. I may have said it very quick, but I told you. Gotta say, I love hearing this song.
Oh yeah, Spice allowed us to hear the nightmare music, so we have to thank him for that.
Yeah, it was no problem.
No
Always happy
bravo.
to miss the tech skip.
See if whitewolfos gets it. And we were wondering, did you actually know the pixel for the blob if you missed the tech skip?
Yeah, I know the pixel, it's just, you know, it's not consistent every time.
Yeah.
The Zorlax Pixel, I think it's called.
Yeah, I've failed it enough times.
Oh, no
the
tech skip from whitewolfos either.
Well, hopefully the quick kill works for her. She knows the pixel.
Thinking that.
She's gotten the powder already, so
I know personally.
I don't
no
think she
idea.
knows it, but she's almost on it, like inadvertently.
Which that's fine, because again, you can have the pixel and still not get it. So once again, Nightmare Aghanim, we want 4 blue balls, first 2 guaranteed, after that, 50-50 chance.
Actually, just thinking about it now, I got first try Horsehead, I think 4th buffer, billet skip, and no blue balls.
I missed that, I was so busy trying to explain it quickly.
Yeah, this run wanted you to PB.
It's actually the first one that I didn't, funny enough. I should have just buffered Brewster from the beginning, I think, but honestly, going into this, I figured, like...
You gotta go for a bit of spy.
Well, I figured, like,
Oldorm quick
that
kill
I'd be going
get.
on anyway. I should go for PB.
The thing is, if you're far enough ahead, like, you can afford to do something a bit risky like that.
Indeed. Right, Ganon dead. And, oh, this is Landlaw quick kill. But now on to Bethel. I love how the music changes for this part. So again, ideally we'll see a 4 cycle here. 4 arrows, Amy gets the first one. Misses the second, so it will be a 5 cycle. And there it is. GG to whitewolfos. Doesn't beat the PB. But still not a terrible run, especially with the soft lock and the death. If those did not occur, this would be a PB. Because the time would be much lower.
They should have beaten my time on SRC.
whitewolfos needs to actually do that done in the SRO. As that is the time we are going on for the tournament. Hello, whitewolfos.
Hello.
You need to do .done in the SRL chat real quick.
Oh, whoops. There we go.
There we go.
So White Wolfos ending with an SRL time of 1:10:53.
Which I don't think that's a big deal, but... So congratulations on finishing the run. Definitely had some interesting parts earlier on, specifically Dungeon 3.
Yeah. I completely forgot how much that boss can just, like, damage you just from when he falls there. I should have picked up the heart. And then afterwards, I didn't have Piece of Power, so Dodongo Skip was, very different, which is why I soft-locked there. But,
Indeed. Not having that movement speed can really throw somebody off.
yeah.
So
But
other than that, how did you feel about your run?
I think it went all right. I got a lot of gold splits, which is good. And I didn't mess up that one jump after D7, which was nice. I did forget that one, like, in the Face Shrine, bombing that switch, so I had to go back for that. But I think other than that and D3, I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, we were a little bit confused on that one.
Yeah, I just completely forgot. I think it was because my hearts were so low. I was focusing really hard on, like, not getting hit and, like, thinking about where the heart drops could be, that I just ran straight past it.
But you didn't die.
I didn't die. That is very true.
You also managed to do dumb jump number 2 first try without Piece of Power.
Yeah.
So that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, but the thing with that is I need to route my Piece of Power a little better, because I typically don't get Piece of Power in the right spot in D5. So I'm kind of used to actually making that jump without Piece of Power.
So I know you mentioned you got a lot of gold splits. Had you not had that soft lock or the death, this would have been a pretty good PB for you. So still not a bad run.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run. I think because of the soft lock, it lost me about 2 minutes. So I probably would have gotten in the 107 range somewhere.
Remember, if you hadn't died or soft locked, you might have got Piece of Power in Dungeon 5 after all.
Yeah, that's true too, which would have saved more time. But yeah, I just needed to get that heart drop there right before the boss, and I didn't. But at least I got both obstacle skips and Wang Boys, so there's that at least.
Yeah, I feel like you could have the official win because of the Wang, but
you're the winner in my book, because Spice didn't manage to get the Wang. He tried it, but failed on it.
Yeah, you can have the race if you want it.
There we go. Yeah, I hadn't gotten Wang in the other 2 races, so I was, like, making sure that I got it.
I think both of you did a good job at teaching Cravone how to do anglerfish. He really appreciates it.
Oh, God.
Oh, and I really, Final Flame, I loved your shout-out to Cravone in your run the other night.
That was very nice.
Yes, I think Cravone needs to see that.
And also the possibly accidental shout-out to Disclude on Hothead, where you jumped into the lava with a half heart.
No, I did not know that was an accidental shout-out. That was me panicking and being stupid.
To be honest, anything that goes wrong on Hothead is a shout-out to Disclude.
Oh.
I don't think like actually getting hit by Hothead is though. That's the one thing he didn't do.
Yeah, you can't die to him. You have to take one hit at a time in the lava. So we're just memeing here. So if we look at the group now, White Wolfos, unfortunately, this means that you have been knocked out.
True.
Now, Spice will go through as long as Mighty Myth doesn't get like a 43 in his race and beat Green Tunic.
Anything's
So-
possible. Again,
Yeah.
LADX No Swoob could be completely broken, and he knows it and has not told him.
Yeah, man, if he does that, I won't even be mad. Except
I
Except
don't
if he
think
joins
any of us would.
I'd be mad that I wasn't found like a few days earlier for my race against Alfreza.
Oh, you'd still be done. We know.
Yeah, I would just sort of soft locked on Morris.
You'd find a new way to soft lock if you had to.
Yeah, I figured that I wouldn't go on, considering I only really started practicing this like a couple weeks ago, I think, maybe a month, and this is my first speed game, so I'm just
Yeah,
happy that
you've made tremendous progress. In fact, all of our newer runners have made tremendous progress in this tournament. Mighty Myth included as well.
yeah.
Yeah, of the races I watched, I think the one between you and Mighty Mouth was like probably the most interesting just because of how close you were throughout the entire race.
Yeah, that
Like-
one was fun to rewatch it again.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was back and forth the entire way.
Yeah, and that was my goal going into the tournament. Not so much progressing on or even like winning one race. It was more making sure that in at least one race I was close to someone, that I wasn't like so super far behind. And I guess I accomplished that. So
Yeah, 6
Even in
seconds
the
is good
first
enough.
part, even in the first part of this, you guys kept it pretty close. You were actually ahead coming out of Valskip because Spice failed it.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought I was going to go really far ahead because I had gotten like Moblin skip so quickly and everything. But
I would say for a
Easily.
while you were no more than about one tile behind
yeah.
up through
I
D2.
figured-
Yeah, it was
Really close. Up to like
it's
maybe
ve-
D2.
it was neck and neck out of Dungeon 1.
Yeah. Well, I definitely know I can improve. So I'm just kind of itching to go do some more practice and get a better time.
Good luck with that. I think you'll get it.
Thank you.
So I think that about wraps it up for us, unless you all have anything to add.
No, just that this was a really fun tournament, and I'll definitely join in again next year whenever the next tournament is.
Oh, there's also the weekly races that we do.
That is true. I'll see if I can join in some of them. They're what, on Sunday usually?
Usually on Sunday, there's normally one or two.
Right.
Any closing thoughts?
No, I think that's it for me at least.
Spice?
I got nothing, just good match. Good matches to everyone I've raced so far, and thanks for the commentary.
Glad to be a part of it.
GG to both runners.
Indeed, and congratulations once more, Spice. Now, coming up next on Speed Gaming, looks like we have about 10 minutes till the start of Mystery Tournament. And after that, later on tonight, got Final Fantasy 1 Rando, Dragon Warrior Rando, and more Final Fantasy 1 randomizers between Speed Gaming and Speed Gaming 2. So don't go away, that Mystery Tournament will be starting pretty shortly. But that is going to do it for all of us. Thank you to everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about this game or considering running it, we have plenty of people that are knowledgeable about the game. We have resources. We have a Discord. All these can be found on the SRC leaderboard under resources. That is it for us. We will see you guys next time.